Hello, historians. This is Mr. Fredo. Sadly, we have come to our final installment for our mini lessons related to the Reformation, the big effort to change the Catholic Church and the Catholic Church's response to those efforts to get the institution to change. So today, as always, for our final installment, we're looking at the impact, the overall difference that this period of 300 years of protest and response between two sides, Protestants or protesters against the Catholic Church, how has Europe and the world changed overall because of it? And you better believe it's a big deal. And the changes that occur throughout Europe and throughout the rest of the world as a result of these protests are significant. You're not going to go 300 years of conflict, whether it's verbal or physical, back and forth, without a lasting difference being made throughout that time period. So the first thing we want to look at are new sects. A sect is simply a new group or a new order of religion. And people were so upset with the Catholic Church, and like we've talked about with some of these protesters, we see them, instead of just putting up with the Catholic Church, they create their own churches. And some of the ones that we've looked at in more detail would be the Calvinist Church, the Anglican Church of King Henry, the Lutheran Church of Martin Luther. These are created in direct opposition to the Catholic Church. Rather than stand by and simply disagree and disagree and disagree, these individuals left and in protest create their own new religions. They're still Christian religions, but they're considered a Protestant form of Christianity, a form of Christianity that was created in protest to the Catholic Church. That would have never happened without the Reformation. We also see massive wars over religion in terms of whether a territory is going to be Catholic or Protestant. So these wars would last for years and years and years, and eventually, in many cases, territories would either become a Catholic territory, in many cases promoted and endorsed by the king, or a Protestant territory. And you can still see some of these divisions today between different parts of Europe. Some territories like Italy are recognized almost exclusively as Catholic. Other territories like England are recognized as Protestant. Some like France are split between North and South. You can still see hints of that territorial division today between Catholic and Protestant that was born out of those religious wars as a result of the Reformation. Lastly, we have a whole new group of followers to the Catholic Church because the Catholic Church had lost so many followers as a result of the Reformation, and that was a big deal to them because for every follower they lose wealth and they also lose credibility. They make the decision that during all of these great explorations that were taking place at the same time, if they were paid for by Catholic monarchs like kings or queens, like in the case of Spain, the Catholic Church would send missionaries on these voyages, and the missionary would work essentially as a recruiter, and their job would be to go to these new territories and convert the natives into Catholics so that the Catholic Church was able to gain more followers. What this really boils down to is a massive spread of ideas that, again, would have never happened without these protests and without what the Catholic Church does in response to those protests. The Catholic Church is never the same. Western Europe is never the same as a result of these protests and the Reformation, and the world as a whole is never the same because of all these protests.